What's good, family? It's your man, the YB, back once again. So, as you've seen by the title, my doggy, Isaac Chamberlain, Isaac Chamberlain, has exposed and aired out the fake, pumped up weightlifter, overpaid, pumped up weightlifter at that, Mr. Anthony John Stewart. Yeah, he said, listen, John Stewart, I broke my orbital bone in round 3 and fought to the end. And listen, let me tell you now, if you haven't watched that fight, go watch it. He not only fought to the end, my man was putting it on Chris Billam-Smith in the 12th round, and his eye was properly bust. I'm not talking about a little nick that AJ had, yeah? AJ had a little nick on his eye, and he was doing this all night. Look, he was doing this. I mean, not being funny, yeah? I'm pretty sure I've heard AJ mention in the past, oh, I'm edgy, I've read The Art of War, yeah? Sun Tzu or whatever it is. All these cats talk about Sun Tzu, yeah, but listen, if anyone knew anything about Art of War, you don't do this in the middle of the squabbles. I mean, where are they doing that at? Wait a minute, you're in a fight for 12 rounds, and you're blinking, twisting your eye up in front of your opponent. Listen, Usyk isn't the most aggressive fighter, yeah, but you best believe, nothing more, as far as boxing goes, there's very few things that turn your opponent on than seeing your opponent blinking. That there is a big come get me sign. The same way as backing up and hanging on the ropes like Johnston did in the 12th round. These are all body language signals that tell your opponent to pump blood into his Johnson. Yeah, get it nice and swelled up, ready to wick you down. Facts. Usyk saw Johnston. Listen, I ain't saying would I be blinking? Yeah, ain't gonna say I ain't. Difference is, I'm not being paid £30 million to be hard. Difference is, I haven't signed up. I didn't sign a contract to be hard for £30 million. AJ took it upon himself to sign a contract which said you are required to be hard in front of 80,000 fans. Listen, 80,000 fans didn't come out for no one else. Yeah? 80,000 fans didn't come out to watch motor racing. They came out to watch you be hard. Instead, they got... And it wasn't even broken. It had a little bit of swelling. And look at AJ's career. Really, he's been very lucky. When you think about it, AJ's had really no injuries his whole career. The first little bit of one was against Usyk, someone half his size, and he doing this. Weird having ass dude. Guess what? My doggy Isaac, or whatever, he weren't doing all the blinky stuff. He weren't doing all the victim stuff. In the end of the 12th round, AJ slumped onto the stool and felt sorry for himself and was blinking his eye some more. Truly embarrassing. Yeah, he broke his orbital bone, and that's another thing. All these people talk about Billy Joe sausages. Yeah, Billy Joe sausages talked a good game, a big game. He slagged off Daniel Dubois. Yeah? Guess what? He's the same kind of guy. Same guy as AJ. Although, to be fair to Billy, at least he actually had some breakers. Allegedly. In fact, scrap that point. End of the day, yeah, let's stick with AJ here for now. Yeah? Because at the end of the day, Billy, for whatever reason, so far at least, has decided to sit down somewhere. And that's what I've been asking. All I'm asking is, if you ain't got it in you, like Billy hasn't, sit down somewhere. Don't just milk things. Don't milk things. So in a way, on reflection, I actually respect Billy more than I do Mr. Anthony John Stewart. Because at least Billy, he sit down. Billy could be knocking around, still trying to squeeze some coin out. Now, I'm not saying he won't try and do that. But for now, he sit down somewhere. Johnston, he's still out here, masquerading, fronting, like he can do something. And Isaac Chamberlain, listen, from the 3rd round, actually broken, he warriored on. Actually watched the fight as well. And it's interesting. I've made several points like this in the past. Like, for example, Molly McCann, the UFC cat. The Liverpool, Manchester, one of them ones. Molly McCann had a big pork pie on her eye. And she carried on Moshe bashing her way through to victory. Or to loss. I'm not sure how that fight went. But either way, she carried on Moshe bashing. People said, oh, well, YB, it's different for AJ because he's fighting the best opponents. Explain this then. because Isaac Chamberlain was outmatched and still found a way. And it's not even about finding a way, it's about what's in your soul. Now, I ain't saying it's in my soul. If my eye gets bust, I'll probably be there with Johnston doing this to my opponent, and getting him rock hard for me to come finish me off. But nonetheless, if I was being paid 30 million, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It's completely different. And that's why, in a way, it's interesting that Chamberlain really, for me, is at a point in his career, he's almost like a UFC fighter right now. And I'm sorry, but there is a strong correlation between people being soft and the heaps of money they make. Chamberlain, I'm not saying would he do it anyway. Listen, all we know is, and I'm not looking back at history, but I'm just saying, Chamberlain in the past, when he was at the peak of his career, arguably, when he went in there with Lawrence Okoli, he didn't have that same grit. He went in there and, I got to give it credit to Chamberlain. He has turned it round. The Chamberlain we saw this weekend would have given Lawrence Okoli nightmares, if not a lot more to think about. Instead, he went in there and fought Lawrence Okoli's fight, which is a shame. But seeing what Chamberlain's done here proves it can be done. It proves that a man can go from trying to play tip-tap-toe to really dedicating himself and getting stuck in. So I don't want to hear no excuses about AJ, because, like I said, Isaac Chamberlain bored the pants out of everyone in that Lawrence Okoli fight. And look what he's done now. It shows if you want it, if you got it with it, if you want it like that, you can deliver it. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win, but what we all can conclude is that no one can say Isaac Chamberlain didn't leave it all out there at the weekend. And he can sit there at night, yeah, he hasn't got a W, but he can live with himself knowing got beat by the better man that night. So be it. AJ, I don't feel can say that. No one can watch the AJ versus Usyk fight and say that AJ left it all out there. And unfortunately, a lot of AJ fans use that to say, oh, well, yeah, you know what I mean? Oh, well, he could have done this. No, we ain't playing that game. Because the same way we knew we could have done this, he could have done it at the time. It's no good looking back. Well, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. You're trained to come up with different game plans. Time and time again, we see AJ one-dimensional. And it's the worst dimension. Listen, if you're going to be one-dimensional, at least be, people might call Molly McCann one-dimensional. Yeah, listen, like I said, if you're going to be one-dimensional, Rock'em Sock'em is the dimension to be. You know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, people can't deal with Rock'em Sock'em. People can deal with big buff dudes like Mr. Anthony Johnstewart going in there and trying to play tip-tap-toe. That's everyone, honestly. As far as boxers go, tip-tap-toe is the best. Every boxing opponent, or every boxer wants their opponent to be trying to do some tip-tap-toe. You can work with that. Tip-tap-toe isn't scary, is it? Scary is when someone comes on you and sticks it on you. Bottom line. And that's why we have to salute Chamberlain. And really, Chamberlain here, he should have been tagging AJ. Yeah, he should have been tagging all the other scary guys in the boxing world right now. Broke my orbital bone in round 3 and fought to the end. Are you really willing to get it like that? I'm built for this. I'll be back. Boom. At hashtag Anthony Johnston. At Anthony Johnston. He needs this. AJ needs to see this. He needs to know this is how the streets are feeling. Do you understand? Because there's no reason AJ can't go in there for 30 million. He's about to be paid again. And deliver that kind of performance. Why not? Isaac Chamberlain just did it. And that was with a broken eye. AJ didn't even get his eye broken in the first fight. And still we had no balls in there. You know what I'm saying? What are we doing here? So yeah, like I said, everyone from now on, anyone in the game, yeah, who shows that top level of oomph needs to start tagging AJ. Because at the end of the day, yeah, for a long time, people gave him the accolade, oh, you represent UK boxing. If that's the case, it works both ways. If you're the UK boxing representative, You know what I mean? When it goes the other way, you get treated in the same manner. Because when it was all good, you was soaking up all the good UK clout. Now you're not performing properly. You need to understand that everything that happens is about you, bottom line. Yeah? If someone else pushes through and undermines your performance, you best believe it relates to you. Who else, put it this way, who else in the UK, yeah, could Isaac Chamberlain be speaking about? Billy Joe? Possibly. AJ? Definitely. Yeah? Do you know what I'm saying? It's one of them ones. There's very few people who this tweet can reference. Well, tell a lie. There's quite a few bums. You can throw DIDNT White in there as well whilst we're at it. Yeah? DIDNT White just rock up. Mr. I'm not paid enough. Rocks up. Doesn't win a second off any round. Do you know what I'm saying? Talking all that good talk about I'm from the yard and I'm a yard man and I'm a Brixton yardie and I live in Portugal and all this kind of stuff. Where was all that? People want to know, DIDNT, where was the Brixton yardie when you was in there with Fury, walking out to some next zesty 1960s rock song? Weird having ass dude. Yeah? Simply the best sounding ass song. Where was it? Where was all the deep yardman drum and bass? Where was it at? We don't know. Yeah? Because you was in the... Listen, DIDNT. In the lead up to the fight, yeah, you was out here playing all the deep yardman tunes. Where was the yardman performance? People must know. Chamberlain, he showed that. And again, what's most important here is... I'm going to end here, but what's most important is the fact it's like redemption. This proves you can turn it around. This proves you can go from zero to hero. And it should also be a lesson to other people like Lawrence Hug Coley as well. Yeah? You don't have to bore the pants off of everyone, every fight. Yeah? Bottom line. This needs to become the standard. Not winning. Leaving it all out there. And I guess people argue, well, if you can win easy, then you can win easy. Listen, winning easy is a fallacy. Why? Well, winning easy is all well and good until it doesn't work. And then you lose all the time, like AJ. Do you get what I'm saying? You can't rely on, well, I'm so smart, I'll just win easy. Yeah, that's good. And then you lose against Ruiz. That's good. And then you lose against Usyk. And that's why you can't rely on that. The only principle in sport in general you can actually use as a backbone is, I will leave it all out there tonight. Do you understand? That's the culture, that's the principle that has to undermine everything you do in the top level of sport. I will leave it all out there. That's the only thing that gives you the best chance of winning. Going into a fight and saying, well, I'm going to make this as easy as possible. Yeah, it sounds good when Floyd Mayweather says it, who was fighting old washed up dudes like Robert Guerrero. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, no doubt Floyd gonna make it look easy against some washed up B-level dude like Andre Berto. But guess what? Floyd weren't trying to make it look easy against Errol Spence, was he? Oops, isn't it? Wait a minute. Since Floyd wanna strut around making out that he make it look easy, all of Floyd's man fans as well. Oh, YB, you're just mad that he make it look easy. Listen, if Floyd's so good at making it look easy, why wasn't he trying to run it and show us how easy it looks against Errol Spence? Oops. The man he kicked out of his gym because he got his ass whooped. That's the bottom line. Listen, I'll give Floyd credit. If Floyd had gone in there with Spence, yeah, and made it look super easy, I'd have said, listen, man, damn. Because that really would be the first time we've seen Floyd in there with someone of his level, if you get what I'm saying. Someone who really getting it like that. We've never seen Floyd in there with no one like that. Pacquiao's whole style was old by then. 40-year-old. Pacquiao's style was a young, explosive style. No good. You tell me, when has Floyd been in there yet with a prime Errol Spence, Terence Crawford type cat? Which one? When? Go on. Exactly. Not once in his career. And tell a lie. And even then he was old. The one time Floyd had a proper fight was De La Hoya. And he got lost in that fight. So it's one of them ones. And even then De La Hoya was old and washed to bits. And still Floyd got his ass whooped. Oops. Yeah? So the whole myth of I'll make it look easy, again, if you're fighting the best, that don't work. Yeah, Mr. Make It Look Easy works for people like Gervonta Davis, who fights bums. Old bums, small bums, different but no-name bums. Mayweather gym fighter bums. And it works for people like Mayweather, who, look at his resume. Robert Guerrero, Andre Berto, these guys are 10 tickets below the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't even class them as world class. They were just cannon fodder. They were 4-belt cannon fodder. People forget that, but YB, he beat 30 champions. He beat 30 champions in a 10-belt era. These days, it's almost impossible. There's so many weight divisions, yeah, and there's so many belts. You can't not become champion. Let's be real now. It's very hard not to become champion these days. They're handing out belts, more or less. So what are we doing? Celebrating that. Floyd sat back and he picked, what's that? There's 4 belts. I've got 4 belts to choose from. Let me pick the weakest guy. And that's what Floyd did. He picked the weakest guy in every situation and moved it forward. So no, I don't want to hear about make it look easy. Commit to it. That's what we want to make it about. Yeah? I'll make it look full of commitment. How about that? And really, when you take a step back, top level sport in boxing, yeah, it's lacking commitment. Dillian Whyte, where did you see him committed? And the crazy thing is, we've seen Dillian in the past. We've seen Dillian versus AJ. We've seen him committed. Do you understand? We've seen AJ committed as well. That's the thing. We know exactly what AJ looks like when he's really trying to win a fight. When he's really refusing to lose. And if he hasn't got that in him no more, that's nothing wrong with that. I ask him to do something he can't do. Sit down somewhere. Yeah? No doubt. Salute to Isaac Chamberlain. I really do hope that he gets some. I hope the universe comes back round for him. But really, not being funny, he likely made $100,000 for that fight. And I feel he's been fairly. Assuming he made $100,000, I think he's been fairly compensated for his effort. Because $100,000, that's 2-3 years work for most man. Yeah? And don't forget also, these guys are doing what they love to do and what they're trained to do. You're paid and you train to get stuck in. This for me is like an accountant finishing his bookkeeping exercise. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Too far these days we praise things that people are supposed to do, people signed up for. And no one asked you to do it. But since you took it upon yourself and since you're paid to do so, we expect bare minimums here. I'm not going to lie, for me, Chamberlain, he actually went over and above the bare minimum. And that's why really I do salute him for that. Yeah? But that really, I hate to break it to people, that is where greatness comes from. It's impossible to be great, in my opinion, having not gone to that place. Of course, Floyd had to try and flip the script. Oh, well, yeah, great. And that's why he came with that saying of, I'll make it look easy. That's why I'm not in tough fights. The truth was, he never fought no prime bulls. Yeah? Because if he had, think about back in the day, think about Floyd versus Leonard or whoever. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you think Floyd would have been making it look easy? I don't think so. Floyd was an A-star athlete, A-star IQ, in an era of D-level fighters, do you understand? So of course he looked wicked. He was an A-star fighter in a C or D-level era. And then the minute the A-star fighters started coming up around him, Crawford, yeah, Spence, Floyd, disappear. And that's the bottom line here, people. It really is the bottom line. The minute the A-star cats started popping up, he fell off the map. He didn't want to know no more. Facts.